I'm a little nervous, but we're going to get into it. Pro binocular, Merry Christmas. I'm Jim Gould. I'm over there on the right in the picture. I'm going to talk about all this today. It's a lovely painting. It kind of sums up a lot of German Christmas traditions, starting with, of course, the Weihnachtsbaum. So I hope this thing works. We're going to go into the second slide. This guy, it's been my inspiration. I've gazed at him since I was 3 or 4 years old. He's not the friendliest looking guy. My mother loved him. I've loved him. He's been to Antique Roadshow. Guess how much? $2,500.
What did it say?
So it's been my inspiration. Click the next slide. What?
We should take 3,000
It's worth more now because they were here, I don't know how long. They were here a while ago. My mom and I went, and I had, he's an inspiration, but I look at my family, starting with my mother, who loved Christmas. Her mother, my great-grandfather, Otto Hauweisen, and my great-great-grandfather, Wilhelm Hauweisen. All of them were involved in Christmas. My ancestor, Wilhelm Hauweisen, was a founder of Das Deutsche Haus, but he also was partners with Charles Meyer and Company, which I think predates most people in this room. It was the store in Indianapolis. And if you're under 20, it was the toy store in Indianapolis. Oh, there's Ellis Ayers. But if you wanted something cool, you went to Charles Meyer. It had all the German toys. If you don't know about German toys, you might as well leave. It was the place everybody wanted to go. So here they are visual. I'm a visual person. I'm a historian. Right here. Here's Fat Me. That 1960 with my mom at Christmas Eve. Next to her mother, my great-grandfather Otto Hauweisen, we called Großpapa. And there's Wilhelm Hauweisen, my great-great-grandfather, with his granddaughter, Sally. This belonged to Otto Hauweisen. I'll talk about that relationship later on. Let's move on. Here we go, Charles Meyer and Company. Again, I'm a historian. I'm a visual person. Here is the original store, founded in 1840. Photograph, about 1850. Charles Meyer on West Washington Street. 29 West Washington Street. There's Charles Meyer. Here is Wilhelm Hauweisen. Young. Immigrated in 1854. Over here, the big Charles Meyer. The trip is not going down. This is the Charles Meyer store. Once they got established, this was on West Washington Street. Charles Meyer and Company. Trip over there. Moving on, trying to get into things and not keep you awake. Are you awake? Yeah. The Christmas tree. When we talk about German Christmas traditions, the Christmas tree is the universal contribution of German traditions. You go east, you go west, everybody's got a Christmas tree. It's, I think, a major contribution of Germans to the world as far as kindness, caring, and Christmas traditions. So the earliest known reporting of a German Christmas tree was in 1419, when a German baker's guild put one up in Freiburg, decorated with apples, wafers, tinsel, and gingerbread, the first decorations. And that tradition goes back to evergreens because they stayed fresh. Long before people knowing how they stayed fresh, but they stayed fresh and green. And so in ancient civilizations, they worshiped the fact that the evergreens stayed green during the wintertime.
No, it's the tinsel.
No, you can't, but you can eat wafers, apples, gingerbread, and other things. And a lot of things that were on the Christmas tree were originally edible because kids like to eat. Moving on. The first Christmas trees that we know of were tabletop trees. Here's a German family with a tabletop tree. And that brings the first item here, a feather tree. We move on. These are my Christmas tree inspirations. This is Wilhelm Heine's son's Christmas tree, 1900. Look at it. Overwhelmed with decorations. Now I had to blow it up so you can't see too closely. But what's even nicer, always from my school. Free. Dolls, towers, free itself, flowing. The next picture is my mother's Christmas tree. Again, overwhelmed with Christmas decorations. But 50s, it's got a large block of tinsel. Does everybody know what tinsel is? The original tinsel, not plastic tinsel. It's metal, and it glistens and glimmers, and it brings sparkle. And the original Christmas trees have candles on it. The nice thing about tinsel, it does not catch on fire. Third tree is my tree. I'm up putting the top on that tree. Tall tree, I'm decorating it on a ladder. The German-American Christmas tree went from tabletop to full-blown tree because we had an abundance of full-size Christmas trees. In Germany, they were protected by princes, kings. Poor peasants would go out and maybe take a little branch, and that might be a Christmas tree. But if they could have a tabletop, I've got that back there. Hold on. No, that might have cost some good money. Just a little top tree. They were very expensive. So it was almost forbidden to go out there into a woods to bring back a Christmas tree in Germany. So let's move on. Along with the Christmas tree, yes, question.
When did you put Christmas trees up, or when did traditionally the Christmas trees put up?
Well, that ties into all these people here. But I will answer the question for you. Good Germans put their trees up on Christmas Eve. And we'll get into all these guys here. And I'm going to talk about the German gift bringers. They would bring the Christmas tree along with the gifts. So, when I was little, my mom and dad would put the Christmas tree up the night before Christmas. Now, you think it's hard assembling all those toys. They brought the Christmas tree in. And my parents had a few single friends that they would invite into the house to help decorate the tree, drink liquor, and kick them out before we woke up, spending the night decorating the Christmas tree. And my mother would tell stories later on how she was trying to guard the valuable Christmas decorations, making sure her drunken friends did not drop them while they were decorating, singing Christmas carols. And she'd go, it's 5 o'clock, the kids will wake up, outing. But traditionally, unlike today, which there are already trees up, you put the tree up on Christmas Eve. To answer your question. All right, so, yes.
So that must have been a time bomb. Where the terminal.
This is where I get into my lack of German. Antenna is a type of evergreen. In German, a Christmas tree is Weihnachtsbaum. Christmas tree, Baum. The Tanna is a type of evergreen. And I will talk about what it looks like when I talk about my feather tree here. It's a sparsely spaced branching evergreen. That's a Tanna. I believe. Anybody want to correct me on that? But it's the boughs are spaced. Most Christmas trees in Germany are spruce and firs with the spaces in between the branches. So I mentioned the Christmas tree. Well, you got to decorate it. And probably, I think, second to the Christmas tree are the German glass ornaments that adorn not only a German Christmas tree, but throughout the world. It was a product that was developed in Germany. This shows a wide selection, if you can see it, of the type of ornaments that were made in Germany in glass. And the variety of ornaments that went on the tree. Let's move on. So, in Lausch, Thuringia, is where the major German glass Christmas tree industry sprang up. Probably first springing up from the actual glass industry. Think about things made from glass. Glasses, plates, marbles, glass irons. All kinds of things made from glass. In Laos, where it was established. This shows a publicity print of Laosha, the Christmas tree. It's in the Thuringian Mountains. The other side shows a photograph of the actual town. Here's a stone carving showing glass blowers and how important that industry was to Laosha. Here shows glass ornaments on a pike. Now, for the sake of keeping this moving, I'm not going to go into the actual process of making glass Christmas ornaments. I sold them for a number of years, and I had a little display rack that showed you the process of making glass Christmas ornaments. I'm not going to bore you with that today. We'll move on. There. German glass Christmas ornament business started in the home. It was a cottage industry. Does everybody understand the meaning of a cottage industry? You had your German glass factories, which weren't even factories in the 1800s. But what would happen is you worked as a glass blower in that factory. You had to get a little extra income. And so that is how the German Christmas tree industry started. Is the husband would be a glass blower, and he would start manufacturing Christmas decorations at home that the whole family would get involved with. Production process started at home. Everybody in the family made Christmas ornaments. Father would blow that glass bubble into a mold. Now, molds are very important. All these figures were made from molds. So a family might have access to 2 or 3 molds, or mold or the Christmas factory or production company, wholesaler, would interchange molds. So maybe this year you had different molds than last year, but you've got to have a mold to make the ornament. So here they're actually making the German glass ornaments. Once the ornaments were made, the kids would cut off the top of the ornament, box them. And here's this person carrying Christmas glass ornaments to the wholesaler on a basket. To the wholesaler. You can see right here on the triple where that means. This is the German glass wholesaler display group. So they moved the glass ornaments from the cottage 5 foot to the wholesaler. Now we'll start looking at the ornaments. If you break them, you pay for them. Back to my ancestor. Otto Halweisen established his own store in Evansville and would go to Germany not only to see family, but on buying trips. So here is another display room at a wholesaler in Germany. The second picture shows Otto Halweisen and his wife Pauline meeting family on their buying trip. And that last picture shows his store in Evansville. Just like Charles Meyer here, it was a very big department store in Evansville. So anything can go on a Christmas tree. Fruits, nuts, glass, paper, wood, metal, and wax. So I'm going to start talking about German glass ornaments. That's the Weihnachtsmann. The glistening of the ornament is a silver solution that is poured into the actual processed figure and swirled around to give it that light. Now, these earlier trees only had candlelight. So what I'm going to do is start passing this around. If you drop one, see me after the presentation. This is a hatted Santa Claus. This is a hatted Santa Claus. I think here's one. This is like this fellow here, a Weihnachtsmann I will talk about later. So I'll start passing these ornaments around so you can look at them. I'm assuming a lot of people here have them at home. Just please be careful as we pass them around. I know you want to see them. If you break them, you buy them. One of the first items going on a Christmas tree were nuts. Here's a walnut ornament made from glass. Pass that around. Here's a pine cone. Original ornaments were, they could go out there and get a pine cone and put a ribbon on it and put on the tree. This is a glass pine cone. I love the nuts pine cones myself. Here's a Santa Claus underneath a Christmas tree. We'll talk about Santa Claus later. You getting to see these? Finally, who knows about the glass birds? This is a clip ornament. You would clip the bird onto a branch of the Christmas tree to look like he's sitting on the tree. This entire piece is glass. The tail is spun glass. They whip glass elements into the tail of the bird. It sparkles. This is a clip. I've got a candle I'm going to pass around with a candle clip. How'd they get those candles on the Christmas tree? They flipped them on after a while when the clip was invented. So this is a German glass bird. And I got one more. Top and tail. He's not red. He's not a cardinal. He's a golden cardinal. So around they go. Hope everybody's getting to see him. Don't break them.
If we break them, Jim, how much should we owe you?
So I think they're all like $50 each. Real quick, I gotta move on. I'm on a limited amount of time. This is called an indent. The first ornaments were round balls because that was easy for the glass blower. And then what happened is when they had the mold makers come and they started making the molds. This is an indent. So they had a round ball and they had this piece of like wood that they would stick into the round ball to make an indentation. And so what's nice about these is they really capture the light and illumination. So this indent has a sunbeam in the center. So think about a mold maker making this as a mold to make a glass ornament from. So round it goes over here. These are all made in close to Thuringia, but nowadays there are glass factories all over Germany. All right, done with glass. Talk about paper. Everything went on the Christmas tree. So let's see what the next slide is. Paper ornaments. We had scraps, flat Dresdens, and 3D Dresdens. So, chromolithographs. Germany is great about producing these paper illustrations. Bill Selm brought a bunch that I have in a sack. Anyway, thank you. Germans in the cottage industry would make decorations on a Christmas tree. I have one today. This one I will not pass around because it's my great grandmother's. This is a German angel. Incorporating paint. Got tissue paper for the dress. Dresden wings, that's gold foil pressed paper. Gold star. But the shiny stuff is spun metal fibers. And if you're really careful, I'll pass it around, just don't rip it up. But originally, this gold foil would cast a lot of candlelight. Okay, it's crinoline, I don't know the exact term for it. I'm going to pass this one more ornament around. It's my great-great-grandfather's. If you look real closely, it's a foil ball, but it's wrapped with that crinoline wire that some cottage worker wrapped to make the ornament. And my aunt gave this to me because that belonged on the Hawaiian original Christmas tree. But this is showing how you use different products to decorate the Christmas tree, and paper was far cheaper than German glass ornaments. Now, with these scraps, in the United States, around the world, you could buy these and make your own ornaments, which Americans did. They made their own ornaments. They copied what they saw in the stores. Let me see these. These are Dresdens, pressed gold paper. I made these. You can buy these. If anybody's interested with finding suppliers, there's a great store out west called 32 Degrees, and they sell these that you can decorate. But this is a pressed gold foil Dresden star. Why are they called Dresden? Someone give me a wild answer. They were manufactured in Dresden, Germany. So this is a flat German Dresden. We have it right there, flats. They come in all shapes and sizes. You can get figures. I like the stars because I've decorated the center of the star with a scrap image. That goes around. I'm sorry. It's a gold foil press card. You can drop it. It's pressed. It's pressed hard. There's layers. No. But those are stars. I got one more star here. Around it goes. Can everybody see the tree? Drove downtown with that tree in the front seat, listening to all those ornaments. Don't sound, I said they jingle. I didn't break one. These ornaments are pretty hardy. So I drove downtown with this tree in my front seat. This is a feather tree. It's a tabletop tree. And the feather trees were the first artificial Christmas trees. They are made with goose feathers. The Germans figured that out because real trees were expensive and hard to get a hold of. So you could get a feather tree at a store made with goose feathers. We'll pass a tree around for you to touch to see what it feels like and looks like. So this was a Christmas tree stand of my mother's. She bought from another Indianapolis German store, Nick Kerr's. If I remember Nick Kerr's, that's where she bought it, right before World War II. It's covered in mostly glass ornaments, but I played that because I've got candles on it. And there are a few other items I'm talking about that are on there. You can back here. Because we talked about paper, that one picture I showed is full of paper ribbons and all kinds of paper decorations. So I didn't talk about 3Ds. 3D dressings. 3D dressings are paper figures, partly stamped from molds, glued together to make a figure. There's a pug dog. So they sold relatively inexpensively, but they were cheaper and they wouldn't break glass ornaments. These today are worth hundreds and thousands of dollars. Why? Because very few exist. They can be thrown out very quickly, and they're made of paper. Now, you can drop a glass ornament, but sometimes those dressings would get stepped on and flattened. But if you're into Christmas collectibles, these are very expensive. So here's a pug dog, a locomotive, look at the detail, and a steamship. All assembled by a cottage industry worker. Glued together, put together, and shipped over to America to be put on Christmas. Because they were basically unbreakable. So I've got glass, we talked about paper. Let's look at wax. These I may not pass over. This is a wax angel. Remember that first picture I showed you? Guess who's up on top? A wax angel. She's been molded. She's got hair, Dresden wings, and she's been dressed. So a lot of times the angel at the top of the Christmas tree was wax. This will break. I will pass it around, but please be very careful as you exchange it. That's the wax angel. I don't think I have any other wax figures here. Let me keep moving on here. There are two wax angels. Wood. A lot of wooden ornaments got on those Christmas trees. I'm not going to go into too much detail on German wood Christmas ornaments because I'm not a big fan of them. I will talk about the Winton angels, but who goes to the Nutcracker? That Nutcracker was made in Germany, baby. Steinbach is a major manufacturer of wooden nutcrackers. All those pieces are put together in small pieces of wood to make the figure. Okay? When I Googled Steinbach, I'm getting thousands now of Steinbach sale and advertisements. So, the next one is my favorite. Vint and Kuhn angels. Do you know them? They have 11 dots on the angel wing. I've been giving those to my wife for 50 years now. She has an angel orchestra of about 150 angels made completely out of wood. Pieces of wood. The head's a separate piece, the neck, the body, all glued together to make the figure. So in Germany, you don't have great big trees, you have pieces of wood, and that's how they started making these figures. I'm not going to pass her around because I'm afraid somebody will drop But here's an angel sitting on a stork, and their signature 11 white dots go on the angel wings. Google them, they've got all kinds of different figures. But again, the wood industry.
Jim, are
Yes.
those cottage industry or those now?
They started as cottage and then they've gone into an actual manufacturing company, Vinton Coon. Any questions so far? Yes,
So what's the one?
it's just their signature.
Okay.
I think somebody just put them on there and it's just as another thing to draw attention to themselves that their angels are green winged with 11 white dots. I don't know if there's a symbolism with them.
They're not from Cologne. From.
I don't know where Witten Kuhn, I think, are down in the Erzgebirge. So Steinbach. The Erzgebirge is in the South Mountain area. And a lot of Christmas decorations come from that area. All right, let's move on. The gift bringers, yay! Saint Nicholas, Krampus, the Christkind, and their Weihnachtsmann. Figures are so important to German children at Christmas time that they prove very important to German Christmas decorations. And we will look at all these figures because a lot of my collecting goes with the figures. So let's move on. I am Protestant. Saint Nicholas is Catholic. And a big Christmas tradition started with Saint Nicholas. When I came to the Athenaeum, they had the St. Nicholas Fest, and I had to get on that bandwagon. But my background in Germany are Protestant. So if you know about St. Nick, I'm not going to go into his history. Lots have been written about it. Came from Myra, Turkey. Famous connection with him and Christmas is apparently he saved 3 girls about to be sold into prostitution by dropping money down a chimney to help pay the dowry to free them from that situation. Secret. And that is like, you got a chimney, you got surprise gifts that all tied into his legend. Along with that goes with what is a patron's sake for. Sailors, merchants, archers, repentant thieves, children brewers, pawnbrokers, toy makers, unmarried people, and students praying to Saint Nick to let them pass finals. So he's renowned for his gifts of charity. And because of that habit of giving secret gifts, that's why he became loved by children. So let's get at images of him. These are German images of Saint Nick. The far image are scrap images. This one is a scrap picture of him delivering the presents. He comes on St. Nicholas Day, not December 24th. He's on St. Nicholas Day, December 6th. He arrives delivering presents. So there's his image. This isn't Giles Hoyt, that's me as St. Nicholas with Krampus. We'll talk about Krampus just a minute. I've got a figure here of St. Nick. Oh, this is St. Nicholas. Christmas figure. I'm going to explain why he looks so stern and what he actually is when I finish up. Everybody see who he is? Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Krampus. He's the naughty of the nice. And that's one reason that we have here being naughty or nice with Santa Claus. Featured as a man with horns and one grotesque human foot and 1 foot of a goat, typically covered in black hair, and unique to Krampus, also a very long snake or dragon-like tongue. Boom. In the 17th century, Krampus was paired to St. Nicholas as a helper, because St. Nicholas always is kind and nice. So we needed a little sidekick to remind kids to be nice, or it's all over. Boom. The Germans don't mess around with either nice or nasty. There's that tongue. There is Krampus. If you're not nice, into my basket you go, and guess where you're going? They didn't mess around. Where would the devil be taking those kids? So, there's images of Krampus. You went to hell. Here is a figure of Krampus. I actually made him. Black fur. That's a German tradition. He's black. His head was a candy container. But I'll pass him around, just don't drop. Head's paper mache. That goes back to wood. Paper mache is ground up wood particles mixed with glue, and all these became Christmas ornaments with paper mache. Christkind, probably next to Weihnachtsmann, my favorite. Martin Luther kind of got rid of the saints when we started the idea of getting away from the Catholic Church. So many followers adopted his idea that the Christ child brought the gifts at Christmas time, not a Catholic saint. So he had children. It was hard then to have an idea that little baby Jesus, that's Christkind, was bringing them all these goodies. So over time, it became an angelic type of person, kind of like an angel. There's traditions about the Christkind. You want to see an illustration? There she is. So here's Christkind. There's Christkind bringing the Christmas tree. Typically, she's hooded, kind of a snow child. And there's a third illustration of her carrying a Christmas tree. Here's another variation of Das Christkind, winged. She's carrying flowers. Be careful passing these around. Here's one I made utilizing a German doll head. Das ist das Christkind. So, look at the last part of my thing here. I haven't played any music yet, sorry. It is. Everybody should know this. Even today in modern Germany, in Protestant part of the country, Christkind brings the presents, but you never see it. Kids are told to be good, watch themselves. Someone in the family is in the back room putting the presents out. And when they're all out, a bell rings. That means it's time for presents. So it's still being done in parts of Germany. The Christkind rings the bell. She's brought the presents.
Christmas Eve.
I'm sorry? Christmas Eve, yes, sorry. Christmas Eve. Protestants celebrate Christmas on Christmas Eve when Luther brought the Christkin. It arrived on Christmas Eve, not on December 6th. That's a saint day. So ring of the bell. And that's what that song's all about. It's a famous German Christmas carol written in 1840s. The bell announces her arrival. So you got that. Oh, one more. Christkin. I made the whole thing. Painted the doll head, about killed me. Sewed the outfit. But this is Christkin. I love the image of Christkin. And she's got her Christmas tree. Christkin. Well, we've got one more Christkin to talk about. Yes. Gould and the Christkin. Who knows about Gould? They come from Nuremberg. You talk about paper. They're made of gold foil paper. This is the Star of Nuremberg. My Christmas tree has an antique Gould on it. It's like 1880s. What does Gould mean? I made this one. This is the Gould. We speak German. What does Rausch mean? Rustling. So the angels are made with a gold or brass kind of very fine foil that turn into paper foil. And this is what a Gould is. Nuremberg, famous for toys and dolls. Most of the angels have a doll head on them. But this is what will greet you if you go to the Nuremberg Christkindlmarkt. These are Gould made of foil. That's me and Chris Kindle. Look to Carmel, maybe she might make an appearance. But that's today's version of what Christkin looks like. I kind of think she looks like Glinda from The Wizard of Oz. The second picture actually shows the way they appear at Nuremberg when they open the Christkindlmarkt, with Christkin in the middle and two Gould eagles on either side, both famous images from Nuremberg. So that's the Gould and Christkindl. Moving along. Weihnachtsmann, finally. He is a Weihnachtsmann. By seeing. Weihnachtsmann, 1835. Heinrich Kaufmann wrote a Christmas carol called Morgen kommt der Weihnachtsmann. Hold on, I got it here. Weihnachtsmann. He's kind of a 48er. Anybody know the 48ers? This building was built by 48ers and very forward-thinking free thinkers They got far away from Saint Nicholas, and the Weihnachtsmann is simply the Christmas man. Some of them have Lutheran connections, but in 1847, Moritz von Stend created this image of what he thought about a Weihnachtsmann would be. Here he is walking through the streets, tree on his back. Von Stend was in a 48er mindset, and that's who brought the gifts on Christmas Eve, was their Weihnachtsmann. So here are images of their Weihnachtsmann. Paper scraps showing a hooded individual. Remember that picture of them carrying the Christmas ornaments in a basket on their back? That's how they carried things back in the day. So this is their Weihnachtsmann. My figure here that I've always loved is a stern-looking Weihnachtsmann. I told you he has a surprise. He's a candy container. Now, today you can go into CVS and buy candy, to hell wouldn't have it. In the 1800s, candy was pretty special. So this would hold candy, but also sweets, homemade sweets, or sweets that might come from a store, which meant, oh my goodness, that's money. So the stern looking face was the naughty, and inside was the nice candy container. And the Germans went crazy with candy containers. Chris Ken, where is she? No one opened her up, did you? All kind of candy containers came about. There are even pigs that have a little compartment inside them to get the candy. But even better, all these creepy looking guys are candy containers. They're Weihnachtsmann. Oh! There's some candy in there. Don't eat it. That's like 20 years old. One more, then we're done. This is a version of a Weihnachtsmann. He's pretty creepy. This is a Belschnickel that was kind of developed here in the United States. A Belschnickel is different from a Weihnachtsmann because his arms are crossed in the front, and he looks pretty darn serious. But he's got a Christmas tree. So the Belschnickel, I think he's got some connection to the Pennsylvania Dutch. But that's a variation of Weihnachtsmann, that he's got crossed hands. That makes a Belschnickel. But they all have serious looking faces to semi-scare the kids to being good and then be rewarded with the treats that were up inside them. Or they're shown bringing presents for the Weihnachtsbaum. Meet one more here. This was my mother's. This is Santa Claus, made in Germany. He has a hat and boots, but this is Santa Claus because the German market knew that Americans were into Santa Claus. And that all came about through Clement Moore, that wrote A Visit from St. Nicholas that became Santa Claus the way he described the visitor. It wasn't a hooded Weihnachtsmann. It wasn't St. Nicholas. He was a guy in a suit, belt, and boots. That was Santa Claus. That basically was Sinterklaas. And Sinterklaas comes from the Dutch that got here and changed St. Nicholas into Sinterklaas. But this is a variation, and he's got a little music box that's left of it. think that pretty well covers most things that I had to say and different variations of Christmas decorations. I don't know what I left out. I'm open for questions. Yes,
The one that's on the table there, what era was that in? The one, that's the one that.
these figures started being made in the 1880s, 1890s, and these again were cottage industry. So we'd have had a mold for the face, the hands, and the boots. This one, my mom believes, was purchased on my great grandparents' honeymoon in Germany. And because of his size, we believe he was the store display in the store in Evansville. Now, based on my time, I've got larger ones. I grew up with, I just dropped something, didn't I?
What's that here?
Oh, good.
And what's the room?
Anyway, I've got large ones. I grew up with the grandchildren of Ellis heirs. And finally, my good friend goes, come over and see our Santa Claus. He's a German candy container that's that large. And my friend in Michigan restores these. She restored ours. They wouldn't pay the money to fix it. But he was that big. So the large Santa containers were for store displays. And I think this guy was in a window. Come in and, bring them in. The smaller ones probably were for home or to be on the mantelpiece, decorations. Any other questions? Yeah.
When did they take the Christmas trees down?
Ha ha ha. When they start dropping their needles. Typically, Protestant or Germans, you put it at first, well, not anymore. I mean, but it was up Christmas Eve and probably the 12th night. And I didn't finish the question. These were made from 1900 on, 1920s, 1930s, and the styles fluctuated. You can look them up online, see the different kinds of candy containers. A lot of them use doll faces, and there would be a doll, and then she would open up with a candy container inside. But you saw the container look. It sets on his boots. Any other questions? Yes.
Did you prepare this for them so box?
Weinbach. What? Nutcrackers?
No, it was a store. It was in the apartments. It was
Here?
It
Evansville. Well,
was on the
our Howison store burned down. And that brought my great grandfather back in Indianapolis. He went into stock. But I met somebody at one of these German things where they remembered that store. But there were a lot of German fancy goods stores that sold Christmas ornaments. I think, as I mentioned, that Charles Meyer helped get those German ornaments out into Indianapolis, out to Indiana. They exported throughout the Midwest.
there was I think it was the wife of one of the descendants of Charles Meyer back in the 80s. She started the store.
She's on Illinois Street.
Yeah.
They don't have any toys in there. I sold stuff.
She bought a lot of stuff. But it was
The story goes back in 1854. We think that my ancestor knew Charles Meyer. They were from the same area. And how he got to Indianapolis, they're both in Indianapolis. Apparently, Mrs. Charles Meyer would not assimilate. She would not learn English. She wouldn't leave the house. Well, for a successful businessman, that is detrimental if your wife won't help get you, out into the business world. So she brought a cousin over. They brought a cousin over to become her companion. The story goes, my ancestor met and enjoyed the companion who became my great-great-grandmother, Charlotte. So she was a cousin of Charles Meyer. And then married, had 5 children, we saw a picture. I didn't show, I was trying to show you where Ovid is in that picture, but it's a great German family picture.
More white people during my time. Where was how Isaac dropped you?
I cannot pronounce that name. Kirpingen. Baden-Württemberg. It's 70 kilometers outside of Stuttgart. And I've actually kissed the door of his house. Seriously, it's still standing. Sorry, I gave that. Oh, there's paper. See the paper stuff on that tree? Oh, no. Oh, can I pass it? I'm making you dizzy. Oh, where is he? Yeah. No, I'm making you dizzy. I thought I had him.
When you're looking, we have.
Never mind.
We have a lady on here who online who said her great grandfather was Nick Kurtz.
All right, that's where the Santa Claus came from.
Yeah.
Nick Kurz. I remember my mom saying, I got that at Nick Kurz. Any other questions? I hope you found this interesting. Yes.
The very different, they had different functions. No, and one important, more important than the other.
Depends on the kid. I back in the day, Saint Nick had realm over everything. No. I think today in Germany they call him Nikolaus. Depends on their tradition, but as I said, they're still. My friend Daniel, I'm going to see in Athens. They ring a bell, and that means the presents were there. And this is 2024. So again, it depends on tradition, your family tradition. Depends how you decorate your Christmas tree. I mean, everything is steeped in family traditions. When you put your tree up, when you take it down, what you put on the tree. It depends on your own family holiday traditions that reflect your background and your history or heritage. And your family's different than the family next door. It's all based on, I think, family heritage. It's how you celebrate holidays, good or bad.
No, that's what I remember is it's kind of transitioned through the generations, but when I was a kid, my grandparents who were all, they were the second generation here in the US, but they were all German speaking and they all celebrated. They didn't let us see the tree. They would put it up, so you could peep over, but they put it in a room and they closed the door. Even my grandma with 14 kids and 62 grandchildren would close off a room in her house and have. She called it mouse animal. That one. She was from her family's Alsatian, and but then but we had ours up and. We were Catholic, we celebrate St. Nicholas, but we also celebrated Christmas. And we just thought we were pretty special because we got a St. Nicholas to break out. It's St. Nicholas and Santa. We just learned they were related, they were family.
It's just all based on how America developed with so many, immigrant and, experiences brought here, everybody had different ways of doing things, but I'm glad you brought that up, Janet. That tree with the doors closed, when they would open the doors, typically before electricity, the candles were all lit. And that's the impression the children first saw, was a candlelit Christmas tree. And that's why I brought the Christmas tree lighting back to the Athenaeum. Because most people I knew had never seen a candlelit Christmas tree. And I do have a candle clip here if you never saw one before. That's a candle clip. And what it does, this had to be invented over time, is once you put it on the tree, that allows the candle, based on, you can straighten it, because that was a disaster waiting to happen, are when Christmas trees caught fire. So the candle clip was a great invention. But what she mentioned is where the tree was all lit, then the pocket doors were open, and there would be the tree. Yeah, down below, and they would bring them out. But that's all based on tradition. So you've never seen a tree lit with real candles. It's something amazing to see and dangerous. Any other questions? Thank you so much. Frohe Weihnachten. I'll return my ornaments. You wanted your couple of times that you know. Yeah. They could buy them or size because this manufactured. That's not him. This is Mel the Acres. He's that nice here. And I was amazed at the horse. Like the simply works for us. They keep helping buy him. They fantastic rituals. I didn't want to. It was scared bringing all this stuff down.